Shalom Akim. First, foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashmi Al-Shai, Bashmi Al-Qudash, the honors under the elders of Apostle Green Millstone, the elders Green Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. This is serious sermon by Yahweh, Bashmi Al-Shai, serving in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayaba from GMS Plain Tables Camp. Come back with another lesson to the Spirit. So this lesson be based off of Mark chapter 3 and 22. So to get straight right into it, it says, and the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils casteth he out devils. And of course, these are the scribes speaking against Yahushai, scoffing. It says verse 23, and he called them unto him and said, honor them in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? It says, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. It says verse 25, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Exactly. And what we can, reason why I'm getting to this, to the scripture, these precepts, or what just, these few verses right here is because, of course, we can 100% see how, we are living in these exact conditions today, within this current country. Of course, the majority of his brothers were located within Babylon the Great, which is America. And we can 100% see that this kingdom is divided against itself. There's, of course, divisions on all sides. It says, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Yeah, that's verse 25 of Mark chapter 3. It says, verse 26, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Exactly. And and again, we can see that all within this country. Say against Satan, and we know the physical counterpart of Satan, of course, is Esau. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Which, of course, we understand how America is Esau's main headquarters. This is that main place. This is his main nation. And again, with all these different events, we can 100% see how we are in those times. Of course, we just had the recent thing that happened with CK, the dude who got unalived. Of course, up on basically the speaking that he was at, where he got unalived. That right there caused division. And again, just everything that Esau setting up concerning the Dems and the Republicans and anti this and pro that. Again, and you go further down the list, again, the elites set it up where, the people are at constant division. And what the scriptures 100% prophesy how there will be division. Matthew chapter 24 says kingdom against kingdom. Isaiah chapter 19 goes into, the Egyptians being against one another, fighting against one another. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 16, to read it real quick. It says, or we can start at verse 14 of 2nd Ezra chapter 15. So 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. See? So woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Yeah, because again, all these things will come upon this world. And that main place that's really again, Yahweh Bashmi Ashai saving the best for last, this place. And again, of course, while there's going to be things happening around the world too. Understand how, you're going to have basically the war of Armageddon that's going to take place in the Middle East. But concerning what? Again, all of these things are going to happen in Babylon the Great. Sedition, anarchy, of course, Civil War. famine, pestilence, earthquakes. Again, all of these things are a portion of this place. And we go, of course, well, we can see how it's already in this place already, with all these things, but it's going to get worse. As scriptures say, we're in the beginning of sorrow. So, we're just having a taste of how it's going to get very, very soon. So it says, 2 chapter 15 and 16, for there should be sedition among men, and vetting one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Exactly. So there's going to be sedition among men. When you get that word for sedition so it says sedition is conduct or speech that incites rebellion or violence against the government or established authority. To get another definition, says so conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. And we see how it's again, we can see that. And, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We understand that, again, the elites, the ones who really, run all these things, these different events that you see. Of course, the media, they control all of it. We understand that this is what they want because, of course, they want to usher in their NWO. And as the saying goes, order ab chaos, meaning order out of chaos. With chaos, they can bring the order. Of course, well, with the NWO, they're going to usher in the MOTB, the mark of the beast that's spoken about in Revelation chapter 13 and 16. So, of course, again, the reason why we're seeing all these things happening, where you, of course, had the train killing, of course, you had the CK event. The reason why we're seeing these different, things is again because they're trying to, they want to increase the division. So it says again, Mark chapter 3 and 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against Satan, it's like it says, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end. Exactly, we understand how the physical counterpart of Satan is Esau. It says, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end. Exactly, so Esau's empire, starting with America, will end. You even have Esau against Esau, because, it's not only just Esau against Esau within America, you also have it globally, concerning these different European nations, of course, America versus Russia. Again, we can understand how Esau's kingdom has an end. And as scriptures say, 2 chapter 9 and 10, for Esau, for Slakia. 2 chapter 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Meaning, it's 100% certain that Esau does have an end. Yep, so exactly. To read this real quick. Isaiah chapter 19 and 2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Yeah, we understand how what the modern day Egyptians are the Americans, because of course we understand how the modern day Egypt is America. And of course, when you go into the book of Revelation, it goes into how Babylon the Great, which again, we know Babylon the Great is America. It's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. So we know that ultimately this Egypt is speaking about the modern day Egypt, which again, we're in the modern day Egypt currently. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother. and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. There you have it. So what you're gonna have, all these, you're gonna have this group versus that group. You're gonna have this. Obviously, we already see, well, ultimately it's already happening as we speak. And again, so everything is going towards this civil war. What literally the elites they wanted to happen. Because it's not just them putting of course controlling the media, staging certain events, making certain things happen to cite a reaction or incite a reaction. Again, as the saying goes, problem, reaction, solution. So again, this is what they want. They create the problem. They, of course, they wait for the reaction, and also they control the reaction. Because as we know, Esau has the ability to, and we can see already that Esau is flooding these different media, social media with the AI bots to basically put out certain opinions and sway, or basically to put out certain opinions to sway the minds of the people. So Esau is putting out AI to control the reaction, and also they control the solution. So they present the problem. After the problem is presented, the reaction comes, and of course after that you have the solution, which again Esau controls all these three things. And of course with the solution they present basically what they've been planning for within their agenda, which again the NWO is their ultimate agenda, what they want to achieve. So hey, again, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We can see it. So to read again, it says Mark chapter 3 and 22. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of devils casteth he, like it says, casteth he out devils, it says. And he called them unto him, and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Exactly. So we're at the end of Esau's kingdom. All we're waiting for what is, of course, we understand a lot of things. And well, as we were speaking, a lot of things are happening. But again, things will get a lot worse. Famine at its max, pestilence at its max, anarchy at its max. Of course, what we're waiting for the implementation of the MOTB. Which once that happens, very, very soon after, World War III will take place. Because World War III won't take place until the MOTB is mandated. And of course, World War III taking place, we understand how Babylon the Great will be destroyed. This land will be destroyed. And right there, Yahushua will make his return. Of course, because Yahushua, who the world only calls Jesus, he's coming back, to make his return to deliver his elect. Of course, because if Yahushua didn't come back, if the Heavenly Father didn't send back Yahushua to come back, ultimately the elect will perish within that fire. So Yahushua is coming back for a reason, to deliver the elect from that nuclear destruction that America will go through, that Babylon grave will go through. And of course, with that, once Yahushua comes back, of course, the elect will be raised up into those new incorruptible bodies, and Yahushua will establish his kingdom. With that, all the other nations will be subject under us. Of course, Esau is going to be taken down, and as well as all these other nations. 100%, they're going to be, their rulership is going to be 100% crumbled. And then the Israelites will be set up over all other nations. So this was prophesied. So this is going to be Yahushua's kingdom, and within Yahushua's kingdom, the Israelites will be ruling, of course, under Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, the Israelites will be ruling over all the nations. So yeah, I believe it's the point. Those are your brothers that edified. Yahweh Bashmi Al Shah, Bishmakakodash Bakathum. Shalom.